is Joe, founder of OFINO Naturals and CEO of Afromeric Institute of Cosmetology and Beauty Salon.
Hi, I'm Gbatundu Kutubu, a Barrister and solicitor of the High Court of Sierra Leone and a dad of a beautiful daughter.
And we're years apart. Reflecting on the parenting style that you experienced growing up, what did you appreciate about it?
I appreciate the fact that the parents were keen enough to step in and make some insistence on choices the children make. Because, for example, at some point in GSS2, I was enthusiastic about art, drawing, and all of that. But when my dad saw how that was distracting me from the academic potential he wanted me to reflect, and he tore my beautiful, incredible Hulk drawing. And yeah, after that, I think I did really well with my academics. But I mean, if I should change something slightly differently about that, it would be the fact that when I am raising my daughter now, I pretty much try to listen to how she accepts the encounters she have. So it's pretty much, I want to see what she embraces much, and then I'll help her be proficient in it. I mean, she's just a toddler for now, but I think that would what I would change slightly differently. Yeah.
Interesting. For my own parenting style, or what my parents did for me, my parents separated when I was about 10 or so. So, single mother, working 2 jobs. It was really, really difficult. I love doing hair since I've been doing hair since I was about 12. So one of the things that I appreciate that my mom did, she encouraged me to be a creative. When my dad, on the other hand, he wanted me to be a nurse. So he didn't like the fact that I was following, because my mom also does hair. He didn't like the fact that I was, following in her, basically in her path. So it was, I wish they would have had the conversations of saying, it's okay to do whatever you need to do, because being a creative and following academics, it can go hand in hand. So it's very difficult. How old is your daughter?
She's turning 3 on Valentine's Day.
Ooh, nice. So that is your forever Valentine.
Yeah. I'm thinking of probably gauging the next one to on Valentine's Day. Yeah, so I'll figure out the months and I went to get it
Fun. So me and my brother are 1 day and 3 years apart. I don't know how my parents did it.
But I mean, you were talking about the hairstyle thing.
Mm-hmm.
Could you say the culture of doing hairs back then, and could you say it had more vibe? I would use the word vibe because that's what my generation will call it. Would you say it had much vibe back then as what it has now?
Always. I mean, our business, or cosmetology generally, is something that, everyone needs every day. I mean, from beginning of time till now, everyone wants to look presentable. Everyone wants to smell good. Everyone wants to look a particular way. So we've always had a vibe. That particular industry is a $1 trillion industry.
Because my question was inspired by the fact that, I mean, now you think about, I was thinking about what a father will think. The hairstylists back then were pretty much purely talent, and a few people knew how to do hairstyles in the community. I mean, I'm not talking about just folding hair and doing braids. I mean, but now you see almost every other person is selling wigs, and it's easy for you to just think every other person has an idea about hairstyle and all of that. So I'm asking, I mean, to go into the business of salon now and all of that is easier now because it's just entrepreneurial than art. So I'm just asking, what would you say is the cutting line as to how you think a daughter would be welcomed by a parent if they chose to enter the hair business?
I think, like I said, majority of people in my family, we're creatives. So this is a line that is something that's embraced. And I don't know, because I moved to Sierra Leone um, 24 years ago. So when I first came here, the students that came to our institution, they were considered dropouts. It was a business that's, oh, now you want make ya, or not, this is all you can do. You know what I mean? Now people, we have college graduates, we have businesswomen, everyone wants to learn some aspect of the trade. And I think culturally also, because I say my mom is a bit more modern and my dad was more old school. So you had to have that profession, doctor, lawyer, engineer, those things. So he didn't think, it was a career that would lead to anything. It was like, you didn't go play with supposed to need, So, I mean, but like I said, that's what got me through school. It has taken me in different parts of the world. I've been to, China, different parts of Europe, different parts of the States, Canada, just doing hair. So it's something, depending on the level you want to take it, you can go so many different directions with it. But I think culturally, it was an issue with a lot of, parents. So if your daughter was to say that she wanted to do something in the creative field, how would you feel about that, you being an academic person? But you enjoyed art when you were younger. How do you feel? Sorry, it's two questions. Did you feel like when your dad ripped up you said your painting or your sketch?
Your sketch, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So did it kill that side of you?
Totally, really. I mean, there was a guy called Kadis in Dubai back then. We used to draw, and I used to feel I would catch up with him in his skill. And I was getting close, maybe. But then I think that year in class, I was 22. I was 22 in class. And I had just come second or third in the previous class. And so my dad was extremely disappointed. And I think it's caused more rage in him because he had lost his job. And if anything, he would have been reminded of the ordeals of not being employed in a stereotypical employment for the African society. So he came to the room, whether his own personal issues, and then the fact that he saw, oh, I'm going through this, and this is what my only son is doing. So it tore up, and I don't think I ever got back to drawing. So I just tried to be what he wanted, and it's. I don't know whether now it's a reflection of his own expression of excellence, or I just caught up with it that I could do well in academics too. Because I just focused on it, and it was an easy path. Yeah. But if my daughter chose art, again, I think the African parents makes those decisions sometimes because they have not had the chance of being comfortable economically, so they don't want to risk you coming from them, risking your chances of being comfortable, of attaining economic freedom. So if a parent has a level of economic freedom, you're more inclined to consider your child making a choice in an area not so common. But I mean, if my daughter wants to do anything, I think our generation, and probably even the following generations, have found more ways to make academics and arts compatible, which I don't think the previous generations did. So I think I would totally support her.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I think now, just like you said, the freedom of being able to choose either or, because look at some of these TikTokers and YouTubers. They don't even bother with colleges and the typical careers, because some of them are billionaires just making videos and telling having conversations every day, their day to day, and people engaging people, and the influencers. I don't think my generation had anything like that.
No. I mean, I just read something recently that YouTube makes more money than any of these TV stations. I mean, so you come to think of it, we might have just gotten it. The system has changed as to earning power now, because Jake Paul, for example, a YouTuber, super rich. I have a couple of YouTubers who are super rich because I think people are more witty now in how they become dynamic with what earns them money. I don't think our parents were, and I don't think even also or the twilights between our parents and the kids that will come from us. I've got it quite right, because I don't see myself making such a drastic decision to say I could drop law and go start a YouTube channel. I almost feel unserious. But I think the generations that are coming after us, they're more inclined to make risk. Well, they don't see it as risk. They just see it as, there's a new thing to go do over there. We could just try it, and it's works super well. And I think that's what is happening for the rest of the world. I mean, it's not like people who emerge and excel and earn so much money from these social media apps just started schooling and say, one day I'm going to be a TikToker. They probably have studied in something else and they saw the opportunity and grabbed it. Yeah.
Yeah. But you're saying, you said that you would feel unserious doing a YouTube channel, but wouldn't you do a channel that reflects your career and educate?
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way, but even so, it'll take a lot of sass for me to sit down and be like, oh, 1990 I'm on you there. Like, it just you just feel like we're so mechanic. The legal profession is so mechanic. Yeah, we might try, but I don't think anyone can get, at this stage yet, anyone can get so connect the profession with the trend of social media in the Sierra Leone context yet. I know of lawyers who are on TikTok. I've seen, yes, I've seen a TikTok account for a lawyer. And sometimes, again, I think it's the fear of being judged, because I could recall when I was in law school and we had sat to the exam, the results were out and I was first. And then there were people who had reference. And so I was trying to offer tutorials via WhatsApp, like explaining answers to, providing answers to the questions via WhatsApp voice notes. But before you know it, those voice notes were forwarded to some of the lecturers. And I'm a student. I obviously was gullible to making mistakes. So, I mean, the idea that someone could judge you could make you again rethink whether you want to open a social media account, because the other lawyers will be like, he missed that totally with that provision of the law. He's so wrong. And then the criticism will just crunch you. Yeah,
they're quick to criticize. I mean, standing in my age with my generation and the way my kids talk to me, I could never talk to my parents the way my kids, not like disrespectful, but just having those open conversations, you know, like, mommy, what's this? And then, you know, we're like, okay, we'll sit and we'll talk about it. And, you know, like, for example, if birth control or, you know, career opportunities, banking, you know, just life experiences, having those conversations with my parents was a no. Like, what's you want to know for?
I know. I totally agree with you. For me, where I made a better observation of that was my sister. I have like 5 sisters, and I'm the only son. So
oldest, youngest, middle.
I have 2 older sisters and 3 younger sisters.
Right there.
Yeah. So my dad is old enough now to retire as a parent, really. So I've stepped in like as a parent to my younger sisters. And so I've tried as best for them to understand they don't have to get stuck in the type of parenting we came through, because that was a time when if you had an opinion, I mean, it's not too long ago really, but ours was not a time when you had an opinion, you could really confront your dad with it. So now I give them the scope for them to say what they want. I even sometimes take some of them to visit more liberal parents and families, so that they learn other ways of family life. And when they come back home, they have, even though when they come back home, my dad, being typical of him, would not be so expressional, and my mom would not be so much of an ear listener. But I mean, it's at least gives them life. So once and again, I go back home and try to make everyone feel like it's normal to be confident in telling people what you feel. Because I mean, I feel like that's what I didn't allow, even though I respected my parents for a while, I didn't allow them to cause me to think I cannot say what I want to say at any given time. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, but so you initiated that point of the discussion. What do you think could be the risk of keep opening the doors of you can say whatever you want to say, because it's again not the most, it's not the safest part to venture. You have to say, my daughter, for instance, her mom tries to chisel her edges now and again. I give her the total big room to do whatever she wants to do, but then if she doesn't stay with me, but when they come spend the weekend with me, she develops a different personality immediately for that weekend than what she is with her mom.
Yeah.
So probably don't you think that's a risk? Like, you keep giving these kids so much room and you keep letting them to so much social media. Isn't that why you start seeing a little bit beyond border behavior from the kids with so much freedom?
With my daughter's 12. I limit her social media. I have the app, it shuts it down in an hour. You can't go to certain pages, blah, blah, blah. So that, I think I have a handle on that. But having the conversations, because there were so many things that I was confused, when I was younger. I would go to either my older cousins or the cool auntie, or go to your friends in school. And like I tell my son all the time, idiots should not follow idiots. Because you can't go to a boy that knows nothing. You go to some of his schoolmates and like, what is this? And then the explanation that they'll say, I'm like, that's not even remotely how things are done, or what, this is the way it should go. And, it's like, so I don't want them to have any, I want to eliminate as much negativity in their lives as possible without, being hurt emotionally, physically, or mentally. Get it from the source. And if I don't know, we figure it out together. So I don't think closing the door to any type of conversation is a bad thing. Keeping the doors open, having, genuine conversations so they don't feel embarrassed, or somebody doesn't tempt them to do things, whether it be drugs or sex, because molestation is something that is constant all over the world. So if you close certain things to your kids, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I agree with you. Probably I would just want to conclude on saying, I know just how tricky it could be. You make it subjective, and the most of the world does not have parents who are as in touch as you. I mean, you probably have a dad. Even though I live in the same community with my daughter, if I'm to spend more than 2 hours with her, it's only going to be over the weekends. So imagine if that circumstance was to be maintained, and she would grow, because for instance, I only saw my dad every 2 weeks or 3 weeks when I was pretty much between age 7 to age 18. He was working upland for most of the time. Okay. So I'm saying you can expose them to the opportunity, to the chances of exploring their lives. But if you're so busy, the parents are not there to provide so many checks. And that's why you might come home and see a tamed daughter, but that is developing in the background, a bit wayward. So I just think maybe, I don't know, I can't think of it offhand, but probably would have to be a bit more censored in how we give them the freedom, because, it could be a bit tricky. Could be a bit.
I mean, there's no guidebook.
Yeah.
That's the problem. There's
true.
no guidebook, because like when my son moved to the States, he's been in the States almost 3 years now, and who I raised and who I met is completely different.
Yeah.
Because your environment is going to influence you, and then especially your parents are going to look at you different from the way your auntie's looking at you, because they're trying to fill some type of void, because he's homesick, first time that he's not around any, not around me, and he's my first. So he was my handbag. Wherever I wanted to go, he was right there with me. So being that first year of separation, I went mad. I was constantly checking. And, but, he got his footing, and he's, in college.
How old is your son?
19. So he's got his footing, but still certain things I'm like, that's not the way we do it.
He's the only one?
No, he's the only boy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then my kids are 7 years apart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I check them. I'm like, I'm always going, I'm your girl, we're friends, but I'm mommy first. So I'm always going to check them.
Anyway, it was nice talking to you.
Hi, I'm Miss Joe. I had a wonderful time talking to Kutubu Esquire. Thank you for watching Years Apart.
Hi, I just had a wonderful conversation with Miss Joe on Years Apart. If anything, I've come to learn that regardless of the fact that the previous generation or our parents might have been a bit distant from us, the contemporary world we live in has merged us to learn common goals and common ideals, and it was a wonderful time.
Years apart.